Welcome everyone to today's webinar where we're going to learn about remote jobs at three great companies, Sitel, Appen, and Canonical. My name is Bree Reynolds and I'm the Director of Content at FlexJobs. We're hosting this event today and we really appreciate you all being here. We think it's going to be a great event if you're looking for jobs, especially with these three companies. We're going to have some really good information here for you. Just a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. The first is we're going to go about an hour for this webinar, about 60 minutes, and that will include some presentation from myself as well as presentation from the three companies that we have here today, or I should say representatives from the three companies today, and a Q&A at the end. We're going to do audience probably for the last 15 or 20 minutes. We'll do as much as we can. If you would like to ask a question during the webinar, you can do so using your GoToWebinar control panel. And if you don't see your control panel anywhere, if you look around your screen, there's a little orange arrow. And if you click that orange arrow, the GoToWebinar control panel should magically appear. And then you'll be able to find the questions area. And I see a number of you are already asking some questions. So good job, guys. You found it. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that there is a handout that's available to download. And you can find that also on the GoToWebinar control panel and download it from there. It's a PDF just with information on each of the presenters that we have here today and how you can kind of follow up with them and learn more about their jobs. And there's also a link in case anybody is unable to download that handout. Sometimes people have problems downloading it. We do have a link that we will share with the audience to be able to download that a different way. So thank you all very much again for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, our topics for today are going to be trends in the flexible job market, and then common industries and jobs for remote and flexible work. And just to right off the bat, let me say that for flexible jobs, we're talking about everything from telecommuting to flexible schedules, part-time schedules, freelance jobs, kind of any combination of those sorts of flexibility. So just to get us all on the same page with that. And then our company guest panel, really excited to have representatives from Sitel, Appen, and Canonical here today to talk about their flexible and remote job opportunities. And they're going to also talk about why flexible work is important to them and what they look for in flexible workers. So if you're interested in applying for any of these jobs, this is going to be a really good intel for you to figure out how to craft a great application and really make yourself stand out for whatever job you're applying for. And then after that, I'm just going to briefly jump back in to go over some action items, things that everyone here on the call can do today, right after this call, to get your job search sort of jump started after learning this new information, and some helpful FlexJobs resources. And then we'll get into our Q&A session. As I mentioned, we'll do at least try to do 15 to 20 minutes of question and answers from the audience. So just to briefly introduce our employer guest panel, and you'll be meeting all of these folks in just a little bit. As I mentioned, we have representatives from Sitel. That includes Maria Bruno, Talent Acquisition Manager, and Charlotte Hutchins, Vice President of Human Resources. And then at Appen, we have Tammy Perkins, Senior Vice President of Crowdsourcing and HR. And from Canonical, we have Chris Simpson, Recruitment Partner. So very excited to hear from all of them in just a few minutes. First, a little bit about FlexJobs. I know a number of people, we have a good mix here of people who are current FlexJobs members and also people who are new and have never heard of FlexJobs before or are just not members quite yet. But we were founded in 2007 by our CEO, Sarah Sutton-Fell, and we're a job search service that lists pre-screened telecommuting, flexible schedule, full-time and part-time, and freelance jobs. We have over 60 staffers on our team who all work from home, so we walk the walk when it comes to work flexibility. A lot of us also have flexible schedules. And since our founding, we've helped over 1.8 million job seekers in their searches for flexible jobs, professional flexible jobs, I should say, legitimate ones. We also have a database of over 40,000 researched and vetted companies, and that's a database that I'll talk about a little bit more in coming slides, but that's something that anyone can use. It's open to the public. Great resource if you're looking for companies that are hiring for flexible jobs. And we are a membership site, so we're a little bit different than most other job search sites that you'll find out there. We are 100% focused on job seekers, and to do that, we have a small subscription. It's a month or a year subscription, and with that, you get access to a really clean database of pre-screened, legitimate, professional level telecommuting and flexible jobs. So basically what we're trying to do is make everything easier, faster, safer for you as far as a job seeker goes to find those types of jobs. And we also offer a satisfaction guarantee. So if for any reason you're not satisfied, you can request a refund and we will grant that for your current subscription, no questions asked. So just a little very quick overview about FlexJobs for anybody who's unfamiliar. All right, so let's get into the bulk of the presentation. So first I just want to talk about trends in flexible work, because if you're searching for these sorts of jobs, it's helpful to know what the industry is doing right now and where flexible jobs are going. So the first thing is 80% of employers plan to increase their flexible workforce. That was a survey that was done in 2013, and we are seeing that every year at FlexJobs. We've seen more and more jobs being posted to the site over the previous years, so that's definitely something that we're seeing happen right now. And then in 2014, there was a survey that found that 83% of human resources professionals say remote work in particular would increase over the next 5 years, and we're seeing that as well. Between last year, 2015, and the year before, 2014, we saw a 36% increase in the number of telecommuting jobs posted to our site. So definitely seeing this prediction come true. And then another thing that we've heard, and many of you may be experiencing this as freelancers yourself or people who are considering going freelance, that by 2020, freelancers will be more than 40% of all workers. So that's one of the big trends here today. So who's working remotely? Let's talk about that. The average telecommuter is a 49-year-old college graduate, man or woman, at a company with over 100 employees. That was information from the New York Times back in 2014. And the reason that I bring this up is because I think a lot of times we have this picture in our mind of who can work from home, who's doing this, and we oftentimes think of people starting companies in their basements or maybe their parents' basements or garage, and sort of this ragtag group of very unique individuals who are able to work from home. But really what this shows us is that it has become a pretty normal way of working. People, mid-level career professionals working for larger companies are the norm in the remote workforce. And so I think that's good news for everybody, just to show that it is becoming more and more of an accepted way of working. And then in the United States in particular, for people involved in the workforce in the United States, about 4.7% of all workers work from home full-time, which means they never go to an office. And then about 37% are occasional telecommuters. So they work from home on occasion. That could be once a week, a couple days a month. The average Gallup found is 2 days per month. So for any of you thinking back on if you've ever worked from home because the weather was bad and you couldn't get to the office, or because you were waiting for the cable guy, that they're counting that now as working from home. You are coming up in the statistics. And so it's nice to see that those sorts of more casual work from home arrangements that people have are becoming more common. And then about 50% of the U.S. workforce have remote compatible jobs, which means that their job can be done at least partially from home. So it's that occasional kind of level. And that's really good news, because it says we have a lot of area to grow. A lot of people who are currently working in the office, and I'm sure many of you are nodding your heads, yes, that's me, have jobs that could at least partially be done from home. So if you're working a lot on a computer or a phone, all of that sort of stuff, your job could very well be done from home. And so that's the statistic right now, is about half of us do have remote compatible jobs. So let's look at some of the top career fields for flexible jobs. And again, this is all types of flexibility. These are the top career fields that we see month over month. We look at the trends to see where companies are posting jobs, which career fields they're hiring in for flexible jobs. And we found that these career fields tend to rotate in and out of the top 10 pretty much every month. Medical and health is almost always number one. It's very dominant as in the number one position. We see that pretty much month after month. And then the other ones tend to rotate a little bit in and out of that top 10. So that's why I'm including 14, because I wanted to make sure that everyone has the full picture of the types of jobs that can be done from home. And so as you can see here, there's a lot of variety in the types of work that can be done from home, anywhere from education and training to web and software development, project management, consulting, sales, customer service. There's a huge amount of opportunity, and we're going to be hearing about a lot of these areas with the employers that we have on our webinar today. And then some of the most common remote job titles, how we came up with this list is we have a team of researchers at FlexJobs whose job it is to actually go out and find legitimate professional level telecommuting jobs. And so they're just scouring all sorts of different websites and career pages all day long. They're also checking with, we have companies that post directly to FlexJobs for their remote and flexible work. And so they're finding that these job titles for remote jobs in particular are coming up over and over and over again. So if you're looking for a work from home job, and pretty much everyone seems to be, or at least we see that that is the most popular form of flexible work according to our members, these are the types of job titles you're likely to see over and over. Now, just because you don't see your profession listed here doesn't mean that it is not available as a remote job. These are just the ones that we see very regularly. These are the top of the top. But we have over 50 different career categories that we look at. So just because you see something or don't see something that is for you on this list doesn't mean those things don't exist for you. All right, so that's an overview of our flexible job market, just to give you an idea of what's out there and what you'll be finding as you start your searches or continue your searches for flexible work. But now I want to dive right into the best part of our presentation today, the employer guest panel, where we're going to hear from each of these companies and representatives from there. So the first couple that we're going to hear from are from Sitel. We have Maria Bruno and Charlotte Hutchins, and I will let you ladies take it away. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Bree. It's such a pleasure to be here today and have a chance to meet so many people excited about work-at-home opportunities. So I'm Maria Bruno, and I'm the Talent Acquisition Manager for Sitel's Work-at-Home Solutions, and I'm accompanied by our wonderful Vice President of HR, Charlotte Hutchinson. And I'm really excited to be here today because we want to have an opportunity to expose who Sitel is and what we do. Here at Sitel, we support customers from all around the globe, combining comprehensive customer care capabilities, leading omni-channel solutions, and unparalleled expertise across industries. And how do we do that? We do that by having people work for us all over the globe, in offices, but also leveraging work-at-home opportunities. As we know that working from our home offices brings high levels of employee satisfaction, which means for Sitel that we get really high-performing employees. So we're really excited to have this opportunity to meet more people and introduce you to all the different opportunities that we have at Sitel. So one of our leading opportunities is sales and service representatives, but we're very proud to say that even many of our leadership works from home every day, including myself, and I know Charlotte does partake in both styles. Charlotte, what would you like to add?
Yeah, so thank you for everyone who's joined us. You know, to Maria's point, you know, Sitel as an overall organization is a very large company. We're about $1.6 billion and about 75,000 associates. But work-at-home solutions is a region, is a business of ours that we have, where we satisfy many of our clients' needs through customer service reps or sales support reps or technical support reps, and many of those folks do work from home. And so for our work-at-home solutions, we have a couple thousand agents at any point in time who are working from home, and we are constantly hiring and growing our business on this side of Sitel. And so we are very interested in hearing about you and you all who have dialed in to apply for jobs for our organization, because we do, what Maria says, offers this flexibility. So just what Bree was talking about is sort of the overall, you know, profile for those that work from home. We certainly have a great opportunity for you all out there, and not just to come in sort of in our kind of like an agent population doing call center work or customer service. We also, to her point, we have lots of our organization who are in virtual positions. So the majority of all of our corporate functions, also, those people work virtually and work from home as well. So you can grow into this organization, not just come in as a job, but you can certainly come in and grow your career.
And would just
Maria,
like
do you have some other things? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Just to elaborate on that point, 70% of our leadership roles are from internal promotions. So we really invest in people. In our culture, Sitel really champions that and understands that our most valuable resource is our staff and our employees. So we're very proud of that and our succession planning.
And one thing for our work, go ahead.
No, go ahead, ma'am.
One thing also to mention on that is our leadership. So if you do work from home and your leaders work from home, there's certainly a great understanding of how to collaborate together and work together, and everything we use in our business from a technical standpoint, we use the Link for Business. So all of our calls are done over the Link system, and so we're able to turn video on and see each other, or we're able to just have people's pictures pop up so you can actually feel like you're in an environment, a four-wall environment with people if that's something that's important to you, but yet you want to be able to do that from home base. So to sort of, Bree, I can't remember how much time we had, but we do offer full-time positions and part-time positions and split shift positions, like you can see on the slide here. Our headquarters is in Nashville, but we're also opening another global office in Miami, Florida. And we are not just in the United States, but are certainly across multiple countries and across the world. So work at home, we are actually growing our work at home business in other countries out of the U.S. as well. We're working on a project in Germany right now, as well as Brazil and some other places to come. So we have lots of exciting opportunities coming up for anyone who is interested.
Great. Thank you, Maria and Charlotte. And yes, there are definitely some people interested. We have questions coming in already, so we'll get to those in the question and answer session. But thanks for this great overview. Lots of really good information. And I do love that statistic about the leadership positions and or promoting from within. I think that's a really nice thing for people to hear. All right. Well, that's, oh yeah, of course. And that's information from Sitel. And if you have questions for Maria or Charlotte, please feel free to put those in the GoToWebinar control panel questions area, and we will ask as many as we can during the question and answer session. Next up, we're going to hear from Tammy Perkins, who's Senior Vice President of Crowdsourcing and HR at Appen. Tammy, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I'm excited to get the opportunity to talk to different people on the call and reach out. I lead the global HR and recruiting function for Appen, and Appen is a global language technology company with operations in Australia and the US and Philippines, and we do work and support customers that include developers of multilingual voice recognition-based products for personal and in-vehicle use, providers of search engines, and leading social media networks that interpret and provide the most relevant answers to user queries in any language, and work with e-commerce companies that need effective multilingual search to ensure sales. Our customers are the world's leading technology companies, automakers, and governments, and our company covers over 130 countries and 180 languages. We're publicly listed in Australia, and very high growth business, and that growth is driving for demand for jobs for crowd workers for multiple language skills and locations. We offer flexible positions for the jobs that we have. For example, some of our remote freelance social media evaluation teams are working on one of the world's leading social media platforms to improve their algorithm that distributes information to users. Other teams under the same umbrella are doing similar work for major mobile photo sharing application to aid in the advertising relevancy. So we have a lot of interesting roles that are available And in the world of language consultancy, we have individuals spanning over 150 countries that contribute to speech and data and annotation through transcription and localization and linguistic programs. And this data that we use is to improve voice recognition products for cars, phones, mobile devices, computers, and much more, which is such a big and growing industry. And at Appen, we make sure that such products can be released to the target audience in regard to the cultural and social norms, and the cultural context is built into that software, and it's seamlessly released to be used by audiences around the world. With the jobs and the freelance roles that we have over 400,000 contractors that we often hire 100 to 500 contractors at a very short notice. There are a lot of opportunities that we're consistently hiring for, and that varies by project and country. In addition to the contractor roles that we hire for flexibility, our full-time staff is continuing to grow in all of our locations. Our U.S.-based positions are flexible work from home roles, such as the associate team managers, software engineers, system administrators, and data analysts. As a company, work from home is so much a part of our culture. We do different things to stay in touch in terms of Skype meetings, connection through different types of meetings covering the time zones, so that we can truly have the flexibility where we can work from anywhere, and that's something that our employees appreciate, and our freelance contractors really seem to enjoy as well.
Great. That's all fantastic information, and we have a number of questions coming in for you, Tammy. So we will we'll get to those the question and answer. But thank you very much. That's fantastic info. And last but certainly not least, for our presenters today, we have Chris Simpson, who is a recruitment partner at Canonical. Chris, thank you very much for being here.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me. It's greatly appreciated. As I'm guessing the listeners might guess, I'm actually on the other side of the pond in London. But really looking forward to having the opportunity to speak about what we're doing in the world at the moment, and the opportunities that we have to work from home as well. So.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, take it away.
Perfect. Cool. So my name's Chris Simpson. I'm the recruitment partner for Canonical here in London. A lot of people may not know who Canonical are. We're in an interesting position where a lot of people tend to know more about our product than the company. So you may well know of Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is essentially something we were set up alongside to make sure that Ubuntu can reach a wider market. So for anyone who doesn't know what Ubuntu is, it's a platform that spans PCs, smartphones, server, and probably most importantly at the moment for us, the cloud. Now, in terms of Canonical as a company, we are around 700 plus worldwide. We do have a number of offices, and that's London. We have one in Massachusetts. We're actually about to set one up in Austin, and we have two in China, Beijing and Shanghai, and one in Taipei as well. There is also plans for Japan as well. So of those 700 plus employees that we have, about 65% of the people we have are home-based. So we're obviously always looking for people who want to have the flexible working ability. I think our kind of ethos is, we want the right person for the role rather than the right person in the right place for the role. So, we have software engineers based in South America. We have, sales guys based in pretty much every continent in the world. We have opportunities for systems administrators. We have plenty of technical roles. And to be honest with you, we're mainly interested in hearing from people who are passionate about open source software and obviously are happy to work from home. Just to kind of, I guess, elaborate a bit more on a point a couple of the other panelists made, we obviously value people who want to work from home, but at the same time, we appreciate the challenges that come around it. So there are a few things that we do here at Canonical that, we like to think hopefully set us apart. So, for example, we do sprints twice a year, which is basically we operate under the policy that you can speak to the same person 10 times on a webcam, but meeting them in person is invaluable. So while we want people to be happy to work from home at least once, twice a year, we'll make sure that we get everyone from your team in one part of the world. We'll have a week of brainstorming in the same room, and obviously a few free meals and a few free drinks on the company as well, which definitely helps. But at the same time, I think it's important to get to know your colleagues face-to-face, even if it is a home-based role. We also have those office hubs, which essentially mean that, if you do want to dive into our kind of office culture, then there is the opportunity to do so as well. I guess outside of that, really, we're doing some really exciting stuff at the moment. I think most people will know about the kind of the desktop side of Ubuntu, but certainly in the Internet of Things market, the way things are going in the world now, we have cars that are running on Ubuntu, we have drones, we even have fridges now that are running on Ubuntu. So the opportunities that are absolutely limitless. The company is rapidly expanding at the moment, and we'd love to have a few more people come on board wherever you are in the world.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, it's so exciting to see what you guys are up to. And until actually researching for this presentation, I didn't know that much about Ubuntu, but it is everywhere from what I can tell, as you were just describing. So it's great to have you on the call. And I love the diversity of positions that we have on the call and companies. And we're getting some really good questions for you as well. So the next thing I want to do is just go over those action items for job seekers who are on the call today, kind of what can you take away with this information before we get into the Q&A, which we're going to have lots of time for that and be able to really drill down into some interesting info from each of these presenters, but just some things that you should be looking at doing once you've been done with this webinar. So the first thing I always recommend is to research, research, research. So as I mentioned, I think at the top of the webinar, we do have the FlexJobs Guide to Flexible Companies, and that's a free resource for anybody to be available to use. You can learn about different companies. You can search for companies that are offering flexible jobs. You can learn more about these specific companies. They're all in the guide. You can search alphabetically to find each of them. And it's just a really great resource to find out if companies that you're interested in have ever offered flexible jobs in the past. We have a long history of flexible job listings with each of the companies in the database, so it's a really good kind of historical document, and also good to get more information about each company and how to contact them and all of that sort of stuff. The other thing I would recommend is be researching to learn about flexible jobs that you might like and new opportunities. I know a lot of the questions coming in are from career changers who are looking to do something different, who have a number of years of experience in other fields but are open to other options, and I commend you for that. I think that's really one of the great things about flexible work is that there are so many different opportunities and types of work being done flexibly nowadays that it is important to be open to trying new things. So for you career changers, you're on the right path for sure. And for everyone else, be open to kind of exploring new opportunities. And then also play up your remote and flexible work experience. I know a number of people have also asked about what they should do to demonstrate that they have worked from home or they've worked with a flexible schedule and all that sort of thing on your resumes. So put that on your resumes, on your LinkedIn profiles. And if you don't have previous experience and you are currently employed or you have other opportunities where you can practice working from home or working flexibly, try practicing. There are so many different technologies that remote teams and flexible teams use to communicate with each other that offer free options for people to test out on their own. So you don't have to wait until you already have a work from home job to begin practicing communicating on those sorts of things. So things like Google Hangouts, Join Me as a screen share, this GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting and all of that sort of stuff, Skype, Google Drive, Google Docs, Dropbox, all the sorts of file sharing software. There's so many things out there that allow remote and flexible teams to collaborate, and you can get that experience right now by just going and finding those different tools and testing them out on your own. Most all of them offer some sort of free level or test that you can do, try out kind of to test out the software. So it's really good just to test out those things, learn how they work, and just become more familiar with them. So there's a lot of different ways you can practice, as I say, if you don't yet have flexible or remote work opportunity or experience on your resume. And then the other thing is to be on the lookout for work from home scams. So unfortunately, there are a lot of scams when it comes to work from home jobs. The bad keywords, things that you should stay away from when you're searching, include work from home and work at home. These phrases by themselves don't guarantee that what you're looking at is a scam, but they are a red flag to pay a little bit more attention, do your research, make sure that the company and the position are legitimate, because scammers almost always will use phrases like work from home and work at home. The FBI actually designated these phrases as common scam phrases way back in 2010. So it's nothing new. It's something that they've been using for years. But you've probably seen the emails in your spam box that say, work from home, make, $2,000 a week from your pajamas and all of that sort of stuff. So those are the obvious ones, but there are less obvious scams out there. At FlexJobs on the blog, we have a whole section dedicated to alerting people and educating people about work from home scams and flexible job scams. So be sure to check out flexjobs.com/blog. You can learn all sorts of different scams to stay away from there. But the good keywords that you can use to search include remote job, virtual job, telecommuting job, distributed team, any kind of combination or variation of those words. Those are usually associated with legitimate professional level telecommuting opportunities. So those are some good ones to check out. And just some resources on FlexJobs. These are all free and available to the public to use, so you don't have to be a FlexJobs member to access these particular things. Like I said before, we have the blog, which has thousands of articles related to job searching, creating resumes and cover letters for flexible jobs, interviewing tips for phone interviews, video interviews, all of that sort of stuff, and also a lot of information on jobs and companies that are currently hiring. We also have the free company guide. I've already mentioned that a couple times. And then you can also job search by your location. So if you're worried that you're not going to find jobs that are hiring in your particular state or country, you can search by location, and that includes both within the United States and international locations. I know we have a number of folks from around the world here, which is great. And you can also job search by our over 50 career categories, and that's flexjobs.com/jobs. Even if you're not a FlexJobs member, you'll be able to see all of the job listings that we have. It'll just be a shorter amount of information that you'll be able to see for each job, but you can at least get a sense of what's out there, the job titles, the short descriptions, and just basic information about each job to let you know if there really is some good opportunity out there for you. So those are some helpful FlexJobs resources, but really what I'm excited to get to is the question and answer session. So what I will do is go through as many questions as I can and call those out to each of you all on the panel. And if you would like to chime in with any information from your company, if you weren't called on, please feel free. You can have kind of an open discussion. And also to anyone who is listening, if you wanted to see a particular slide again, you can always type that into the questions area, and I can go back to that slide and put it up so you can read it. I will also say that this is being recorded, and it will be emailed to you tomorrow, the recording, so that you'll be able to review all of the information and watch the whole thing again. So there's that available. All right, so let's get into questions. The first thing everyone is wondering, a lot of people have asked, what sorts of requirements do you have for people who want to work from home in terms of setting up their home office? What are you hoping that people will already have available in terms of equipment? What do you provide that they don't already have available? All of that sort of stuff. Basically, what are the home office requirements for your particular company? Let's start with Maria and Charlotte at Sitel.
So for Sitel, the most important thing is that you have high-speed, reliable ISP. That's either cable or DSL. We cannot support satellite or like 4G data, which we do see in certain areas. And then just having a really dedicated workstation that's free from noise and distractions. Our equipment will vary depending on the particular role and the particular client that we're hiring for, but we do not accept MacBooks. So it would be a computer that would be Windows compatible. And that is great. The major, those are the major points for
Perfect. Pretty easy. Good. Thank you. And Tammy at Appen, how about you?
So very similar for for Appen, it's high-speed internet and a computer no more than 2 years old. Any operating system. We work with multiple customers, so we support any operating system. But it must be high-speed internet, computer no more than 2 years old, and obviously environment, make sure no distractions and some of the things that were just mentioned.
All right, great. And Chris at Canonical, what about you for home office requirements?
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same as the other guys have said, really. I think the only other thing I would add is that, obviously, because we have our own operating system, we do like to think that all of our home-based employees are using Ubuntu. It's the case of it's not a strict requirement, but ideally we would like people to embrace the product that they're working for. So, but other than that, yeah, exactly the same.
Great. Yep, that makes perfect sense. All right. And another question that a lot of people have had for each of the folks here on the panel is, for the jobs that you're hiring for, are they employee jobs or freelance jobs or a combination of those? So let's go back to Maria and Charlotte at Sitel. Are you hiring for employee or freelance jobs or a combination?
All of our positions are employee-based. We have part-time and full-time. Our most typical positions at this time are full-time, which are makes you eligible for great benefit plans. We are a large company, so we have some wonderful benefit plans. And we also have a great employee referral program. We hire in 34 states across the U.S. So, yeah, come check us out, Sitel.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Tammy at Appen, what about you?
We hire, we have 16,000 contract positions, and it's, as a global company, we have, in addition to the independent contracting roles, we have our full-time staff and open positions all around the globe. So check us out at appen.com. We have lots of exciting positions for people who want flexibility and in a contract role or for a full-time regular staff role.
All right, great. And just to clarify for some folks, freelance and independent contractor are basically the same thing. So in case anyone's wondering if there's a difference, there is not. So if you hear us talk about contract jobs or anything like that, that's the same as freelance jobs. We often get questions about that. And then Chris at Canonical, how about you for employee and freelance or contract jobs?
So, I'll be honest, most of our roles tend to be permanent. The reason for that is because Ubuntu is an open source product. It means that we have an absolutely fantastic community worldwide for people who don't actually work for us but love to work on the product in their spare time. So the vast majority of our roles tend to be permanent. They are across pretty much every continent in the world. You can keep up to date with them on our Twitter at Ubuntu and obviously on Canonical.com as well.
All right, thank you. And one of the questions that a bunch of people have is for career changers. As I mentioned a little while ago, we have a lot of career changers on the call who have a number of years experience. Sometimes people on here I've seen anywhere from 15 years to 28 years of experience in a certain field. And they have a lot of skills, transferable skills, that sort of thing. How would you recommend for jobs at each of your companies that people sort of position themselves or transition those types of skills in a way that makes sense to you for the jobs that you're hiring? So for career changers, do you have any advice on how they can best position themselves when they're applying to your company? Maria and Charlotte at Sitel, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. We certainly see in our industry people that have experience from anywhere from education to health insurance. We see a very wide variety of people that decide that it's time to work from home and just embrace that, saving that $4,500 a year and not having to deal with the commute. So the most important thing is to put your skills on your resume, the things that you know how to do, manage a team, communicate, right? Because those things you're going to use, building rapport and relationships with your colleagues, your clients. Those types of things are going to be things that you're going to definitely leverage in your everyday interactions at Sitel with your coworkers, your managers, your supervisors, and really take a few minutes to read the requirements, which jobs we have available. We do have, for most of our positions, an assessment that you do need to take and pass, which is another time for you to shine and show all the skills that you have.
Great, and let's mix it up a little bit and go to Chris for his answer at Canonical. I know I keep going in the same order, but I'll change it up a little bit.
Sure. So, I mean, I think there's obviously a lot of transferable skills, in working from home, no matter what function you're working in. So, I think if you emphasise the fact that obviously, you're well versed in working with globally dispersed teams, you're able to self-motivate. I think that's important. But I think if you are going through a career change, I think the most important thing is to emphasise, why you're going through that career change. So, for example, I mean, the vast majority of people who do change their careers, that tends to come about through either, maybe a personal interest, or maybe you attend meetups or something like that. And I think from our perspective, we buy into people a lot more if perhaps they've decided to maybe go from software engineering to testing or something, and they say, well, I have friends who work in this space, or I really enjoy reading these blogs about this. So, basically justifying your move in career is probably the most important thing, as long as you have that transferable skill set.
Awesome, good points, thank you. And Tammy at Appen, what about you as far as career changers and transferable skills? How can they position themselves?
Well, I think it's a good sign, people who joined the webinar today, that they're savvy on social media. So that's a good sign for us that they already joined the webinar today. Since we have flexibility and work from home virtual roles, really people who have self-motivation and an interest or passion for social media and technology, the flexibility in the types of roles that we offer through independent contractors and full-time. We have people with a variety of all types of backgrounds, and those that do well really want to work from home, and they work with Appen as a long-term, working over multiple projects for multiple clients. And the feedback that we consistently get is that they enjoy the flexibility that we offer. It's not a role where they're spending most of their time in a car on a commute. That they have the flexibility to do other things in their life, and it's something that we pride ourselves on, and people seem to come work for us for that work-life balance.
All right, great. And that question actually prompted a number of questions from people at the other end of the experience spectrum, people who are just sort of starting out in their careers and who are considered more entry level with just a few years of work experience so far. Do all of your companies hire for those level positions in some way or other? Just to get a kind of quick poll here. Chris at Canonical, how about you?
Yeah, we certainly do. I mean, we're always very interested in grads, and I think, it's certainly with, for example, things like OpenStack, because it is such a new kind of area. I mean, people obviously who are picking this up at university are almost having the same amount of experience as the guys who have picked it up in their kind of day jobs. So we're always very interested in people, at certainly graduate level stage. I guess, there are likely to be more opportunities probably within kind of a distance of the offices that we have, but at the same time, I mean, we certainly do have opportunities across the software engineering space and certainly in the sales space for people to be based from home at a graduate level.
Great, thank you. And Maria and Charlotte at Sitel, how about you guys?
Absolutely. We have many entry-level positions and have seen people start, as agents and now are site directors. All of our work-at-home opportunities have paid training, so we really do work hard to, help people be successful in their acclimation to our culture here at Sitel.
Awesome. And Tammy at Appen, how about you as far as entry-level goes?
Yes, we have all levels of experience, from early in career and graduate to experienced professionals. In terms of, we have people who started out as individual contributors or as contractors right out of college and are now full-time employees. We from an intern level coming in and taking on different opportunities. So we value all different experience levels for the work that we do.
Great. All right. And now I'd like to get into some of the nuts and bolts about hiring and what you guys look for and all of that sort of stuff. So let's talk about one of the questions that a number of people had is, what do you look for as far as skills and experience for remote workers in particular, so people who want to work from home? Are there any things that you really like to see when you're looking at applications, any requirements? I know we talked about home office requirements, but just in terms of the professional themselves, what are some things that really stand out to you, or things that you think people should play up about themselves and then really, put out there for you to see in their applications when they're applying for remote jobs in particular? Let's go to Tammy at Appen.
Yes, in terms of any type of virtual work from home, self-motivation is a critical success factor. Someone who has the flexibility and demonstrates a self-motivation, that is number one. And the ability to work with little supervision, that's really important as we hire people who have this type of flexibility and can work from anywhere, where they don't have a manager in the office or in the state or country. Maybe it's having that motivation and being able to work without the supervision.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. Those are all definitely really good skills to have. Somebody who works from home myself. And let's see, Maria and Charlotte over at Sitel, how about you all?
For us, we definitely want to check for a couple of things. One thing is, again, that's self-management, being comfortable working independently, even though you will always be in a virtual room with your colleagues. But being able to think out of the box, one of the things that always happens in a work-at-home space, and we know work-at-home is not a trend but a phenomenon and will go global, and everyone will work from home in the future, is that you know that you need to sometimes problem solve. Your ISP just went off. Do you reboot your cable modem? Is that the first thing you think of, or do you think to call IT? In a work-at-home space, it's going to be, I'm going to reboot my modem. I know I'm going to do that first before I call IT. So that thinking out of the box, self-management is really important. Being comfortable to be creative. At the same time, also, work history plays an important part. We want to understand how long you've been at your last job. Is this something that you want to do for a minute or something that you really want to do for a career? So those are the main things that I look at when I look at a resume.
All right, great. Thank you very much. And Chris over at Canonical, how about you?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of factors we take into account when we obviously look at the CV side of thing. I would say, from a candidate's perspective, the hardest thing when you're working, or certainly trying to apply for a role that is home-based, is making sure you can get your personality across and obviously how you're perceived. And for example, we talk about the right people being the people who can work in a home-based environment, but if you're having a hangout or you're having a telephone call and you're not in a quiet environment, then that's probably not going to bode well for the way you're perceived by the hiring manager. You have to understand that if you're not face-to-face with someone, impressions are going to be based on the quality of the call, how you're prompt in turning up for hangouts and stuff like that. So that's really important. Obviously the kind of basics around the suitability for the role is also important as well. But the fact we can employ people in any country in the world is simply because we want the right person for that role and not the person who happens to be in the right time zone.
All right, thank you. All great answers for that. Another question that we have is about training. So what it looks like when somebody actually starts a job with your company. What's the training like? How does the onboarding process work? That sort of stuff. Just in general, if you could give us paint a picture of what it would be like to start a job at one of your companies. Let's see, Tammy at Appen, how about you walk us through that for Appen?
Well, we have a training and onboarding program that And it varies based on the type of jobs that we have for social media and for linguists, but we have various qualification timelines as we're working through the training programs and different things. Some may be a much shorter turnaround, so could be a 1 week time frame, and then some could be a little longer based on the type of work.
All right, great. And Maria and Charlotte over at Sitel, how about you as far as training and onboarding? What does that look like at your company?
For us, it varies. Maria and I are on here representing the work-at-home solution side for Sitel. So for that particular side of the business, if you come in as a customer service representative, whether you're on the technical side or sales support, et cetera, you would go through most likely 2 weeks of training. I think that can vary, and it can go a little bit higher for different lines of business that we might be hiring you for. But you do go through training. It's a virtual training. Just like Maria said, you're always in a virtual environment with us. But you do go through that, and then you have another week where you go onto the floor. Literally, if you're in a call center, and you would also have a coach who's helping you, make sure you can answer questions and you've gotten up to speed before we just let you go totally on your own. If you were to come work for us as in Sitel in a virtual environment, then your training and onboarding would be similar to what you've heard from the other companies on the phone that we would have.
Oh, sorry, I was just on mute for that. Chris at Canonical, what does that look like for your company?
Sure. So I guess we have various approaches when we're onboarding people. I think it really does depend on the particular role, and the reason for that is, for example, some roles may have, if you're in sales, you may have options to travel, which means within the first couple of weeks we can actually get you in the same room as your hiring manager or your direct report manager, which is obviously beneficial to be onboarded in that sense. But we do have HR onboarding sessions for all starters. One thing we did implement, which is going really well, we actually implemented a buddy system here at Canonical as well. The idea of that is when you come on board, there's a lot of stuff that perhaps you don't know, or you kind of get conscious about bothering your particular hiring manager with, because he's doing everything in terms of onboarding you for the role. So we assign everyone a buddy. The buddy tends to be someone who isn't in your direct team. It's just someone within the company who's there if you have any questions, or that's usually assigned when they come on board. So that first couple of weeks, if they do have anything they don't want to bother their manager with, then they have someone as an out to go there. But obviously, if the option is there as well, we're more than happy to maybe get you to come to one of the offices for a week in the first month if it's something you're interested in. But if not, obviously we're happy to onboard via Hangouts as well.
All right, great. And I know we're coming sort of to the end. We have time probably for a couple more questions here. So one of the questions that people have is, of course, the best way to apply to all of your jobs. So we have some information on the screen right now with both the FlexJobs website, in case people are members of FlexJobs and they can find you there, or your direct website. So any tips for applying to jobs at each of your companies? Let's see, Maria and Charlotte from Sitel. How about you guys?
You would want to come to Sitel.com, you would want to go to careers, and then you would want to select work at home jobs, because we are a large company and we do have jobs all over. So please do select work at home. And then you'll be right there. There we actually have a really cool benefit factor calculator, and we also have, why working at home, and FAQs on, things that you need to have to really ensure that this is something you want to do before you actually go through the application process.
All right, great. And Tammy at Appen, what should people do if they want to apply to your jobs?
If you want to apply, come to Appen.com and select the location, and we have virtual jobs that are available, and so go to www.appen.com.
Perfect. And Chris at Canonical, how about you?
Perfect. So as I said before, we're at the stage where we want to hire good people. If we don't have a live role that's not right for you, then we still want to hear from you. So I would suggest if anyone is interested in FlexJobs with Canonical, then feel free to drop us an email at recruitment@canonical.com, and obviously you can check out the live roles we have at canonical.com and on Twitter at UbuntuWantsYou.
All right, fantastic. And just as sort of a final question here, I know we're all talking on this webinar today, but what is it like to interview at your companies? How do you conduct that? I know I've heard from some companies who do phone interviews, some people like video interviews. I did hear from one company that conducts their interviews over Instant Messenger, which was the first that I heard of. So I would love just to hear a little bit about how each of you conduct your interviews. Tammy at Appen, how about you?
Hi. So we conduct our interviews. We reach out to the candidates and we do a Skype interview, and that's been what we've leveraged to be able to communicate with the candidates for the most part.
All right, great. And Chris at Canonical, how about you guys?
It depends which part of the world you're in, to be honest, but I mean, the vast majority of the time it tends to be, a telephone interview first of all, followed by a Google Hangout interview. We ideally would love to do the final interviews face-to-face, and that really is dependent on if one of our guys is perhaps traveling in your part of the world. We're happy to do a meet-up, and certainly in Asia that tends to be a lot easier. But I would say if not, then we would just do it via Google Hangout again.
All right, fantastic. And Maria and Charlotte at Sitel, how do you all conduct interviews?
It definitely would depend on the role. Certainly for a more executive or leadership role, that would initially be by phone and then in person. But for our call center positions, those are done virtually over the phone. Typically, you would first take an assessment, then you get to select the time and date you want to meet with us. Then we would call you at that time and date, and then conduct the interview over the phone, and then extend an offer, and then start working with you in email, chat, text message, and many other ways to support you while you do onboarding.
All right, thank you. And I know we're just about to hit the top of the hour here, so I wanted to wrap things up and let people know next steps and what they can expect. First, a very big thank you to all of you, to Maria and Charlotte from Sitel, Tammy at Appen, and Chris at Canonical. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And for everybody on the call today who's been listening in, all of our professionals and job seekers out there, thank you all for joining us today. Tomorrow you will receive an email, follow-up email that has a link to a recording of this webinar, so you'll be able to view it again in case you want to or need to. It will also include the handout that was a part of this webinar with this information that you see on the screen right now about how to apply to each of these companies. And there's also a very quick, I think, 3-question survey. It's super quick, that really helps us make these webinars better each time we do them. So please feel free to sign up or fill out that survey, and you can also sign up for the FlexJobs newsletter at that point, which includes some discounts on signing up for a FlexJobs membership. So again, thank you all very much for being here today, and best of luck in your job searches. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.